Hi there, it's Sam from Pootles.co.uk. Thank you very much for joining me today, and thank you for joining me in Springwatch. This is 14 video projects focusing on the spring summer catalogue and a little of the celebration catalogue, and they're coming out to you every single day for 2 weeks back to back as video tutorials. And this is today's project. I don't often share my thank you cards on video these days. When I have amazing shoppers come shopping with me, I always send out a goodie pack every month. Always includes a hand stamped card. You'll often see me share that on Instagram, and I definitely share it as a blog post, but everybody gets one of those, and a thank you gift, and that's always a product gift, and a newsletter, and then I also send out an extra product gift if somebody uses the hostess code. And I put together lots and lots of cards. It takes me most of the month to put them together. Sometimes I can get them done early, and I always time it when my husband is on night duty, because just that way, either side of my office door, there's one little boy's bedroom that side and one little boy's bedroom that side, and the other two are on the top floor. So I tend to do it on night shifts when I'm up here with them anyway, and making sure that they're settling down quietly. And this is the card that I made this month. So I did 4 colourways. I did Blushing Bride, Pear Pizzazz, Crumb Cake, and Grey Granite. But I'm actually going to do a 5th one just purely for the video. So those are the colours, but every single one has got the same stamped colours on the front. Normally I do a switch up all over the place, but this time I didn't. And I didn't use my stamparatus for this one because I've got 5 colours on the back. I actually did every single one by hand, so not with the stamparatus, which you would have seen from my previous month. And actually, because there's a 6th stamped image there in a punch, and because of the number I did 1,200 stamped images by hand, personally. And I loved it. I put on some Christmas movies and I was a happy girl. Okay, so I've got Balmy Blue this time. To make the card, I'm not going to give you measurements because some of you work in Imperial, some work in metric, some work in American size paper, some work in International A4. Basically, take a sheet of cardstock and cut it in half and fold it in half. It doesn't matter which direction you go. I go for 10th fold for photography purposes as much as anything, because I can get a better photo like that than like that. But actually I do it so instinctively that all my customer thank you cards usually end up as 10th fold as well. So cut your piece of cardstock in half, fold it in half, and that is your card blank. The layer that's going to go over the top, if you work in metric, make it 1/2 centimetre shorter and narrower. If you work in Imperial, make it 1/4 inch shorter and narrower. So it doesn't matter. Okay, I worked with 2 stamp sets here. I couldn't choose which one, so I went with 2. So I've got Positive Thoughts and I've got Layered with Kindness. So my Positive Thoughts is the butterfly, and this big flower here, and this image here. And then from Layered with Kindness, I've got the leaf, I've got a little flower, and then I've got the sentiment, which uses one of our 2 new punches. So before I go any further, I'm going to get both of the punches out, dropping another one on the way. And I'm going to grab my catalogue, and I've got them on the wrong page. Oh, it's open on the wrong page because I want to quickly, briefly mention them. Page 41. So I did write it in my letter that went out with all my customer, all the catalogues rather. The names of them, so in the catalogue, page 41, the name is correct for the punch. This is the Label Me Lovely punch, and this is the Label Me Fancy punch. The prices are correct, the item codes are correct, the written words are wrong. They're just the wrong way round. So this one says punch label image, round hole and slot, and it's giving you measurements of that. That's actually on this one, and this one just says punched image. So it's the words that are the wrong way round. So long as you're going with the visual of what you want, you're good to go. Okay, right, let's get stamping. So the first thing I did, I came over to my crumb cake. Actually, I did set all of my stamps up first before I did anything else. So I had them all there ready for me. So I will do that now, recreating exactly what I did. I probably ought to do a time lapse or something of me putting your cards together. That would be quite sensible, wouldn't it? I haven't yet. I do have a new piece of equipment that will help me do that, but yeah. I haven't done it yet. Okay, and then the last one. There we go. So crumb cake, and so I did everything. I cut all of my cardstock. I scored it first, then cut it. All of my coloured cardstock, and then all my white pieces, and then I started stamping everything. And I had to re-ink a few times. So actually you can see it on these Pear Pizzazz ones, and these are just some that I grabbed at random. You can see where it's running out there, but it's much fuller there. So I had to do an awful lot of re-inking throughout the card process. Okay, so crumb cake. Did all of those in one go. Then we're going to come in with some Pear Pizzazz. You can see I probably need to re-ink it again now. So in with some Pear Pizzazz. And have that shooting off to one side. Why not? And then I want my Highland Heather. Yeah, it was good fun doing this with all Christmas telly on. It was lovely. And then some Blushing Bride. Actually, I came in with a balmy blue because some of them, and again you can see it on this one, I hadn't quite left enough room or enough gap for some of them, because they're all hand stamped, for some of the blue flowers. So some of them went off to the left and some of them went in the centre. So where's my balmy blue? So I'm just going to double check and see if I can fit it in that gap, which is where I wanted it. Yes, that's fine. So that one, and then my Blushing Bride Butterfly up there. And then I need a scrap of Whisper White, but I haven't got one. Oh, I have, lovely. And then finally, so I did all of it, and it was, do you know what, I never take for granted anything that I have in my business, or anybody inside my business. I'm hugely grateful, and you can tell I re-inked that one compared to that one. Same colour, just re-inked. So yeah, I took time to just kind of reflect and think, you know what, I'm very fortunate in my business. With these, because these were all being punched, what I did is I sat and worked out how many I could get. I took a piece of A4 and I worked out how many I could get. And so I could fit 4 that way, and 4 that way, and 4 that way. So I cut my sheet of A4 into thirds. Well, I took 1/3 and put that to one side. And so I would stamp there and that. Shall I show you how I did it? Let me just put that. I can't remember. 3. So it was about there. Trying to think which way I punched it. So this is quite a rough way of doing it, but it was sort of like that, and then on this piece I was a little less, kind of like that, and then took it round the corner, so I was actually able to get 9. Yeah, put it this way, I managed to get 9. So I got 13 from each sheet of cardstock, so I knew in advance, because you have to be careful that you've got enough room to punch everything out, top and bottom, and then just kind of did all of that. So I didn't have to think too much, or I didn't have to keep counting, if that makes sense. Right, let me just pop those to one side, put that one away, and then start assembling this card. I'm clearing up my ink pads because it's making me twitchy, that the fact that there's rubber stamps all over the place with ink on them, and that there's mess on my desk. I don't work with a messy desk. I really struggle to be creative if I've got a messy desk, but I also appreciate I'm alone in that. And then I went through lots of dimensionals. For my friend. And there we go. Like I say, look at the difference. So that was clearly a late on one, because that's pale pear pizzazz and pale grey granite there versus this one. But I thoroughly enjoy making all of my cards. It's a real privilege to have so many to send out. I never begrudge stamping 200 cards for people because it's such a privilege. It really is. It's humbling to have that many people who've chosen me as their demonstrator and put their trust in me that I'm going to deliver in terms of projects and inspiration for you, as well as making sure orders arrive on time. And so I'm terribly grateful, so grateful for everything. And so yeah, I get pleasure from doing this. Anyway, thank you ever so much for joining me. Hope to see you very soon. Bye.